Hello everyone, Spectre here back in with our Marvel content champion. Today we're here with another champion concept, this one being for Nightmare. And Nightmare is going to be a pretty strong champion. He shuts down strong cosmic defenders like Serpent, Maestro, and Hulkling with buff control. And so Nightmare is a mystic champion. He's a villain, size XL. I imagine he's going to be like, he's not going to be big like Hulk. He's more going to be like tall like Null. So he's going to have that kind of stature. And he is a dimensional being, and I decided to give him an Elder tag because he's just like some old, powerful son of a gun from a different dimension who's been around for a long time. So I thought, give him the Elder tag. It's not a widely used tag, so it definitely could use some additional characters who are under that tag at least. So, but yeah, going into always active. As a being who thrives off of dreams and fear, Nightmare is immune to fear, of course. What, you're gonna scare the dude who is basically fear? That ain't happening. I'm not gonna fly. He's also immune to cold snap and frostbite. I just figured, this is because, people tend to say, shiver down my spine as in like they're being scared or, makes them feel like cold or whatever. I figured that was cool. Also, this makes him good against Serpent because that extra damage off of like his specials is actually cold snap damage. So he wouldn't be taking any of that. When Nightmare would inflict a stun, this includes parries by the way, they actually become sleep passives instead. Sleep functions the same as stun, though do not count as stun and cannot be reduced by ability accuracy reduction. So this is actually probably one of his strongest abilities. Essentially this means like if you're going to get someone who's like stun immune, it won't work. Or if you got like someone who reduces your ability accuracy to parry, basically you just cannot miss a parry, and it doesn't matter if the opponent is immune. So he can be really good against Nick Furies or like fully ramped up Apocalypses who become immune to stun. He can work against those because they're not immune to sleep. Also, when Nightmare sleeps the opponent or inflicts a fear effect, Nightmare regenerates plus X% of his missing health. This is just nice to get him like topped up. Also, Nightmare passively reduces the duration of passive buffs by 25%. So this is just able to ruin Cosmic Champion's flow. Alright, medium hack. So Nightmare has a 100% chance to nullify one buff if the opponent is affected with a fear effect. If the buff that would be nullified is an Immortality, Death Immune, Indestructible, or Fury, it is instead stolen and Nightmare gains the matching effect. So this, once again, is going to be really powerful against champions like Hercules, Serpent. It's really going to just be able to shut them down, because one of the most annoying things about those champions is, especially in Battlegrounds where you're against the clock, it can be really tough to just wait out those last, like, however long, it could feel like an eternity, where you're just trying to hit the opponents, trying to make sure they don't use their specials, trying to make sure that you're ready to get them down as fast as possible. And once they have those Immortalities or Indestructibles or Death Immunes, it can be really tough to get a really quick time. So Nightmare is just able to just mine now. So I think that's going to be cool. He can be, again, he's really designed for like Serpents and Hulklings and just characters like that. Also, these buffs are also prioritized if the opponent have other additional buffs. So this really just makes it so that, like, yeah, no matter what, they ain't escaping it. No immortality for them. And holding block, Nightmare holds out the Mirror of Melancholy, showing his foe their greatest fear. Holding block for 1.5 seconds inflicts the opponent with an Intimidate and Fear debuff for X seconds. It then goes on cooldown for X seconds. So this just makes it so you can't just like rapidly, inflict fear onto the opponent, because what happens is if 2 fear effects are applied to the opponent, they get a deep fear. So it'd be really cheap to just be like, block for 1.5 seconds, block for 1.5 seconds, get the fear. It's like, no, that'd be too broken. And yeah, here this next line is, if the fear is applied while the fear is already active on the opponent, then deep fear passive is inflicted for X seconds. Deep Fear has all the effects of Fear, Heal blocks, and reduces power gain effect potency by 0%, and Nightmare gains it instead. So, it's also really good for Hyperions, so you can really shut him down as well. He's really just like a Swiss Army knife against like a lot of these Cosmic Defenders. Like, he can really counter them pretty well and really takes away some of their most annoying aspects of them, though not all of them. And I should also note that the Deep Fear can really only be applied with this block. So as you can see, it's I only note the deep fear with the blocking for 1.5 seconds. So what you want to do is you want to apply a deep fear on the opponent before you use the holding the block fear to get the deep fear. That's definitely very, very important. And he can also get countered by champions with a lot of debuffs here, because if Nightmare has 3 or more unique debuffs applied to him, he cannot trigger the fear or activity, which makes it so he cannot apply deep fear to the opponent. So yeah, that's a reason to bring like science champions in, especially if he's like a high sig Nightmare, because we'll get to his sig ability, but that can allow him to place the deep fear very easily. But going on with the heavy attack, the opponent is asleep, inflicting atrophy passive for X seconds at X% potency. So once again, this is just to help him against Maestro, another champion I wanted him to counter. Special 1. Nightmare blasts his victim with several green beams of energy. Each beam hit inflicts the opponent with a torment debuff for X seconds. After the special attack ends, the opponent is afflicted with a fear debuff for X seconds. So something you could do is get to that special 1, and then that's when you do block for 1.5 seconds, get the fear on there, and that becomes a deep fear, and then Nightmare is going to be rolling in some utility and just control of the fight. But really what his flow is, we'll get into the special 2 here. Nightmare sends a slew of scary things at the opponent, scaring them stiff. Each hit inflicts the opponent with a degen debuff, dealing X damage over X seconds. The final hit inflicts the opponent with a stiff debuff for X seconds. While stiff, the opponent cannot move and cannot block or attack. While stiff, opponents suffer minus X% combat power rate and receive bursts of flat damage when being struck. So what the rotation here is, simply is just, special 1, special 2. And if you could throw even more special 1s to get more torments, that just makes the degenerations even longer. And yeah, you're just going to be doing a lot of damage, whether it be the burst damage or the degen damage. Now, special 3 is also something that can come in really nicely and allow for, more throws of the special 1 to get a bigger and better special 2. So the special 3, Nightmare takes his opponent to the Nightmare Realm and traps them in a maze using his Mystic Prod. The maze is full of creepy crawlies that attack his victim, all while he laughs and observes. So Nightmare passively gains 2 bars of power over X seconds. If the opponent is suffering from a deep fear effect, he gains 3 bars of power over X seconds instead. On attack, Nightmare cannot use his special 3 again unless 1 bar of power has been spent. In a quick fight, you might just go special 2. In a medium fight, you might go special 1, special 2. But in a longer fight, special 3, and then a couple special 1s, and then the special 2. That seems like the go-to option, at least how it looks like on paper, and how I intend it to work. But now going to the Awakened ability. So Lord of Fear. While Deep Fear is on the opponent, Nightmare cannot have his ability accuracy reduced unless the opponent is Science. So self-explanatory. You could actually make him really good against characters like Domino. And this is also intended to work against the Maestro's glancing ability. Also, every X to X seconds, so depending on Sig, he will inflict the opponent with a fear passive for X seconds. And obviously, the more Sig, the more fear he will apply to the opponent. More quickly. But yeah, that's Nightmare. I hope you guys like this. I definitely enjoyed making Nightmare. I think if he was in the game, he'd be, really shake up the meta almost instantaneously. He might be a little too overtuned. He might be spread a little too. I won't even say he's spread too thin. He's just spread and he's pretty thick. You know what I'm saying? He covers a lot of ground, so maybe he's a little too broken. But I like creating broken characters. It's very fun, especially with characters like Serpent and Maestro who are just so freaking stupid. I hate fighting them. So if this character is just broken and shits on them, then I'm fine with it, and I'm sure a lot of people will be fine with a character that just shits on Maestro and Serpent. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and goodbye.